Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite venue negotiation tactics. Now, as an event planner or an experienced designer, you are going to spend a lot of time negotiating with venues, whether you're planning a conference, a dinner, a party, a concert. Most of the time, these events need to take place at a venue, and if you don't want to get completely ripped off, it's definitely good to have some negotiation tactics up your sleeve. Of course, there are plenty of other negotiation tactics out there in the world. The ones I'm going to share in this video are just some of the ones that I use that work the best for me. But if you want to learn more about negotiation, I will link some of my favorite negotiation books down in the description. All right, let's get into it. So the first tactic that I want to talk about is pulling different price levers. So when you submit an RFP to a venue and they give you a proposal back, they're most likely going to give you an outrageously expensive number. And from what I've seen so far, a lot of times this comes in the terms of a food and beverage minimum, which basically means you are committing to spend X amount of dollars on food and beverage. So let's walk through a little hypothetical. You submit an RFP to a venue and they give you a proposal that includes a $200,000 food and beverage minimum. And with that, they will waive all meeting space rental fees. Now, even though that sounds like it might be a good deal, however, you could actually use this to your advantage. For venues like resorts and convention centers, when they collect food and beverage payments, it is not all profit. In fact, only about 25 to 30% of that is profit. The rest goes to buying the produce, paying the workers, taxes, etc., etc. However, if you pay them a meeting space rental fee, that money goes directly into their pockets, except for any taxes they have to pay. There's no produce to buy. There's no staff to pay. That money is almost pure profit. So if a venue were to come to me and offer a $200,000 food and beverage minimum, I would consider submitting a counteroffer where I offer them $75,000 to $100,000 for a meeting space rental fee, and then about $30,000 to $50,000 in food and beverage. And this counteroffer would actually generate more revenue for them. So a great way to negotiate with venues is to pull these different price levers. All right, the next strategy that you can use is signing a multi-event contract. If you know that you're looking for a venue to throw an event at for multiple events or multiple years, a good way to negotiate is to offer the venue a multi-event contract. This is great for them because this guarantees revenue from you for multiple events. And with this guaranteed revenue, the venue is likely to give you a discount on these events that you're throwing with them, because in the long run, they're going to be making more money than if you were to sign a 1 year or one event deal. For example, if the venue is charging you $100,000 for one event, but you come back to them and you say you want to host 2 events with them and sign a contract for it, they might be willing to give you $75,000 for each event, because that's $50,000 more than they would have generated. But to you, they're actually giving you a discount, which is a win-win for both parties. The third tactic that I want to mention is actually something that I've never done before, but I know a lot of my partners in the event space have done this, and that is using event walkthrough findings to your advantage. So before you sign a contract with a venue that you're going to be throwing an event at, you should go and you should do an on-site walkthrough. And as you're doing a walkthrough, you should take note of everything that's going on in the venue, especially if there is something that is hazardous, that's broken, or something that just doesn't look right to you. This could be a panel hanging from the ceiling. It could be some weird pillars in the ballroom that you're looking to rent out. It could be stains on the carpet. Whatever it is, take note of all of these things and then bring it up to the venue when you are finalizing negotiations. And if you bring this up to them, they might actually give you a discount because you have a little bit of leverage. You should also take note of things that are going on during your event. I once threw an event at a convention center, and during the session, there was a panel hanging from the ceiling. It took me a while to notice, but one of my attendees actually came up and said, "Hey, is that panel supposed to be like that?" And then I went and I called the partner that I was working with at the venue, and they went and they fixed it and everything was good. And looking back on it, that's something that I probably should have followed up with the venue and asked for some money back, because it was a hazard to my attendees and it kind of disrupted the experience of the event. The fourth method that I want to talk about is to really highlight the benefits of hosting your event at the venue. Now, these venues get hundreds, maybe even thousands of requests every single year to throw an event at their venue. So you need to really convince them and sell them on why your event is special and why it's going to be a win for both parties involved. Yes, you're going to be giving them your money. That is a big win for them. But what else is there? What can you tell them that will, 1, get them very excited to host your event at their venue, and 2, maybe even give you a discount on price because they're so excited to host your event at their venue? Something that I've used for my events is the conference that we throw is extremely unique. It is the largest event in the world for emerging managers, and it draws in a lot of really wealthy people. They're going to spend a lot of money at restaurants. They're going to spend a lot of money at the shops. They're going to buy valet parking. All of these different things are alternative sources of revenue for the resort. So when I communicate this to them, it is an incentive for them to maybe even give me a discount on the price they're charging me to host an event at their venue. So I'd strongly consider that you sit down and you write down all of the things that make your event unique and all of the benefits that the venue will receive from hosting your event. The next tactic that I want to talk about is a room block. A room block is something that you will typically only deal with when you're working with a resort or a hotel. But what you're doing is you are contractually committing to the venue that you're going to fulfill a certain amount of hotel rooms for your event, which, like a food and beverage minimum, is guaranteed revenue for the venue. And most of the time, this requires no upfront cost from you. What you do is you sign the contract stating that you're going to fill a certain amount of rooms for your event, and these rooms will most likely be at a discounted rate. And if they're not at a discounted rate when the venue is trying to get you to do a room block, you need to get them at a discounted rate to really incentivize your attendees to book through that hotel. The resort will then give you a link that goes directly to your discounted rooms, and you can send those out to your attendees and they can book the rooms and you can fill up the room block. Since this is a lot of guaranteed revenue for the resort, they are likely to give you a discount on food and beverage and meeting space rentals by doing a room block. However, I will warn you, room blocks are very risky because if you do not fulfill the rooms that you're committing to, you will have to pay the difference. And there's been a few events where we have fallen short on the room block, and it's a real bummer sending over money for pretty much no reason. So if you're going to do a room block, I would be very safe, very cautious, and try to do the minimum amount of rooms that you can while still making it make sense with the size of your audience. And like always, make sure you have a legal team review all contracts before you sign them. Another tactic that I like to use is asking for add-ons instead of discounts. So if a venue comes at you and they say that they want a certain amount of money, let's say it's $100,000 in food and beverage to host your event at the venue. You could use tactics that I mentioned earlier, like pulling different price levers to get that cost down, or you can try and ask for add-ons. This is a good tactic because the value that the venue is receiving is still the same. However, you are getting a better bang for your buck. So let's say you are using a ballroom at a resort and they give you a proposal that has $100,000 food and beverage minimum for that ballroom. Instead of trying to negotiate the price down, tell them that the price looks good, but then ask if you can throw in maybe a few breakout rooms or a few storage rooms or a few staff rooms or maybe some other incentives like meal vouchers or parking vouchers. Whatever it is, just try to throw some stuff in there and see what they say. They might turn you down or try to charge you more, but from my experience, they're getting the price that they asked for, and throwing in a few minimal add-ons isn't going to cause them to stress too much. Could be worth trying out. All right, the next strategy that I want to talk about is getting quotes from other venues and using that as leverage. So if you're looking to throw an event in a certain location, one thing you can do is go and get quotes from multiple resorts and then compare all of those quotes and try to use them as leverage to get a lower price. If there are 3 venues in an area that you want to throw an event at, and 2 of those venues are charging you $100,000 and one is charging you $150,000, and maybe that one that's charging you $150,000 is a little nicer, you can try and use those other quotes as leverage to bring that $150,000 down. Price matching is something that's very common in the event space. This is one of the reasons why I mentioned in the venue selection phase that you should go out and you should get quotes from multiple different venues, because you never know if you'll need to use them during the negotiation process. One more thing I want to mention about this strategy is that when you have quotes from multiple different venues, it shows each venue that you are serious about what you're doing, and also that all of your attention is not on them. At the end of the day, these venues want your business, and if they know they might lose you to another venue, it's possible that they might bring the price down to secure your business. All right, I got a few more here, so just bear with me. The next one I want to talk about is simply building a relationship with the venue that you're negotiating with. I'm going to keep this one pretty short, but from my experience, negotiating with someone is so much easier when you have a good relationship with them. There's mutual respect, you're familiar with each other, and at the end of the day, you're both trying to create a situation that is a win-win for both parties. If you don't take the time to build a relationship with them, or you start to build a negative relationship with them, it's going to add a lot of friction to the negotiation process. And this is just basic human psychology. People like to interact with other people that they like and that they have a relationship with. So keep that in mind when you're negotiating with venues in the future. The second to last method that I want to talk about in this video is to simply just clearly state your maximum budget. If you know that you can only spend $100,000 on the venue when you're throwing an event, clearly state that to the venue that you are only going to spend a maximum of $100,000 on this event. And this will save both parties a lot of time. If you don't tell them your maximum budget and they submit a proposal and you try to to negotiate it down. They submit a counter proposal, then you counter that, and then they counter you. It does make it extremely complicated. And sometimes when I don't have time to negotiate with the venue, or I just don't want to, I'll submit them my RFP, and then on the RFP, I'll make sure to clearly state that I am only going to spend this much money on the event, and there's no questions, no ifs, no buts. And most of the time, they will come back to me and say, hey, good news, you can throw your event at our venue for your budget. Or they'll get back to me and say, hey, unfortunately, your budget is not enough to throw an event at our venue, and then we'll both go on our way. And like I said, it saves both parties a lot of time. The last method that I want to talk about is just to simply ask. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, is that simply asking for something can actually get you really far. If there's somebody that you're interested in and you want to date them, instead of playing all these mind games and speculating if they like you back and reading their body language and getting all analytical, you could just simply ask them and save both of you guys a lot of time. Or if you're throwing an event and there's something that you want from the venue or you want the price to be lower, if no other tactic feels right, just simply ask for the price to be lower. Ask for more add-ons, ask for a lower room block, ask for a lower food and beverage minimum. Whatever you want, it really doesn't hurt to ask, because the worst they could say is no, and that's really not that bad. All right, those were most of the negotiation tactics that I use when I'm negotiating with venues. Like I said, there are plenty of other negotiation tactics out there. There's plenty of great YouTube videos online about negotiation, and I will also be sure to link some of my favorite negotiation books down in the description. As always, if you have any questions, drop them down below, and I will see you in the next video.